Thank you for joining She's Dropping a T-shirt at the front door tarot. I will be getting back to the readings very shortly, okay, at my desk. All right. But I want to put this video on just to let it be known that everything in the community is being exposed. There's a lot of fighting going on. Okay. And whoever is whoever is the flow, the foe in your life, whoever is that person, right? Whether it be family, friends, or an actual foe. Family, the friends is foes to me. They fake enemies. But anyway, anyone that played a position in your life as a foe, this is about them. How basically they got manipulated. You might have went back and told somebody that some shit was going on around them. Instead of them believing you, they turned on you and went right back to the very person that was doing the shit to them. So at this point, I feel like you get what you get. You deserve what you get. Because if somebody warned you of some shit that's going on around you and your dumb ass don't want to listen to it, because at the end of the day, you're really probably envious and you acting like an enemy in the very person that's trying to save your ass. You're acting like an enemy to them. You don't want to hear nothing that they got to say or nothing that they saying. So you really believe that the shit that they saying is them telling on themselves or some type of shit. Or you got the people that say I tell you and I warn you about somebody. You got the very person that I'm warning you about trying to convince you that I'm the op, and your stupid ass sitting up here believing the shit. So, I feel like a person get what they got coming when they do this kind of stupidity. Get the popcorn and peanuts and let's listen to how stupid all of this shit is and how all of it's backfiring on the community, on the foes, on the fake ass family, on whoever it is, okay? They had a motherfucking problem with you, had a problem with me. They all are realizing that they fuck with the wrong person. Who the fuck are we fucking with? Do you know who we fucking with? Is what they saying. Do you know this person that you fucking with? Who you got us fucking with? People walking away because they already seeing the pop back in their life that no, you're not supposed to touch hot wires. You're not supposed to touch fire. Like everybody's learning a lesson, and this is what you got going on. So let's listen to this early morning. Okay, Father God is giving it to me thick. I keep trying to pass them up, and they just keep popping up there, popping up there, popping up there. So let me just hear the garbage that's going on with these people, okay? Just so I can know what's going on, because it's the same shit. It's just told in a different format, but it's the exact same shit that I already said. But here is something that they didn't listen to, a warning that they didn't listen to, that you might have gave them, that I might have gave them, and now they paying for it. Here we go. Chosen ones.
Chosen one, someone who once ignored your warnings, is now sitting in total silence, overwhelmed by the reality that somebody feels messed up about turning against you. Everything you said is unfolding and more. As the situation
They feel bad turning against you because they know you know, and they know it didn't work.
There was a person in your life, a lover, a close friend, a family member, someone you were genuinely invested in. A situation was developing around that person.
They better know they can't never come back here. They better know that shit.
Have never been ordinary. Something activated in you the moment you look closely enough. Not a feeling, a knowing. A feeling can be talked out of. A knowing sits in your gut like a stone and does not move, no matter how many reasons someone gives you to release it. What you knew was this: the person attached to someone in their life was dangerous, not just difficult, not just a bad fit, dangerous in the specific way that
this
dark,
bitch was a dark priest
dangerous.
and he knew
The
it.
kind that does not just cause pain,
a dark witch and he knew it.
The kind that moves through someone's entire existence like a wrecking ball and then stands in the wreckage acting surprised that everything fell.
That's basically what he was trying to do.
What was coming before the first
doing shit behind people's back and then standing there like they didn't know what was going on.
You did not come in swinging with accusations and ultimatums. You came in the way that people who genuinely care come in measured, deliberate, choosing your words carefully, because you understood both the weight of what you were carrying and the relationship you were delivering it inside of. You framed the truth in a way that left space to receive it without feeling ambushed. You showed up with care, so visible it should have been impossible to misread. You said, watch yourself. This is not what it looks like. This person is not who they are presenting themselves to be. Protect yourself.
Yeah, but
And
that
that is
person was
where something
hard-headed.
critical
They had a
needs to
hard
be
head, and
understood. The dismissal
they was
that
under
followed was not a
magic,
reflection
under
of your
spell work.
delivery. It was not
So you
about
couldn't
your
get through that
timing or your
thick-ass
wording
head.
or how many chances you gave. What it actually revealed was how deep the snake's conditioning had already gone. When someone is entangled enough with a manipulative energy, even the most carefully delivered truth arrives sounding like a threat.
Sounding
The snake had
stupid,
already
sounding
been at
crazy.
work, slowly,
Sounding like a
quietly,
motherfucker don't want to
surgically,
believe nothing
building
that
a
you
filter
saying.
inside the person you cared about. A filter designed to make your clarity look like jealousy, your concern look like control,
Yeah,
and your
okay.
discernment look like aggression. So when you spoke, your words were not received through neutral ears. They were processed through a frame the snake had already constructed long before you showed up. That is how this kind of darkness operates.
That bitch was working that motherfucking nigga. She was
the
working his
defense against you
food,
before
working
you
his
get there.
mind, working
The
him with
moment you
sex
speak it,
energy.
something
This
is
bitch
set
was
in
working
motion
this
that cannot
nigga.
be stopped by anyone, not by the person who dismisses it, not by the snake that tries to bury it, and not even by you. Your words do not disappear when someone refuses to receive them.
Yeah, I
They
don't
go
give a
into the
fuck now.
atmosphere.
I don't give a
They
fuck if a
settle into the
motherfucker has
memory of
been
the person who
delivered,
heard
if
them.
they woke
They
now
embed
or
themselves
nothing.
in
I
the
don't want to
fabric
hear
of the
this shit.
situation.
I tried to
And they
warn
wait,
your ass
patient, exact, ready to be
long time
confirmed
ago,
by
so I don't
whatever
want to hear this shit
unfolds
after the
next.
fact. Just get
You
the fuck
did
out
not
my
just
face
give an
with that.
opinion. You gave a verdict, and verdicts do not expire. Your warning was not just ignored, it was used against you.
Exactly.
The
So
person
just
you
get the
tried
fuck
to
out my
protect
face.
did not just turn away from what you said. They
Get the
handed
fuck
it to the snake,
get the fuck out
and the
my face.
snake
I don't want to
turned
hear
it
this
into a
shit.
weapon. Suddenly, your concern
I don't
became
want
the
to hear this
problem.
shit.
Your clarity became the threat.
Pinocchio,
Your
get the fuck
genuine,
out of
accurate
here.
read on a dangerous situation became evidence that you were the jealous one, the controlling one, the one with the hidden agenda, and the snake sold that version to anyone who would buy it. This is the narrative flip, and it is one of the most calculated moves in a manipulator's toolkit. The moment your truth became a threat to the operation moved to discredit the source. Flying monkeys got recruited.
Ooh-wee.
Who had no idea they were
Flying
being
monkeys.
used, carrying a false version of events designed to protect the snake and isolate you. Some people believed it, some pulled back from you, some went quiet. And you found yourself standing in a position you did not create, defending yourself against a charge that was invented by the very person you had tried to warn someone about.
Right.
What
That's why
makes this
some
move
people,
so
you just got to
wicked
stay out
is
of the
what was
shit and
done
just
with
let
your
them go through
actual
it because they
words.
stupid.
Your
They
warning
dumb.
was
They don't hear
weaponized.
nothing.
Your
Hard
genuine,
heads, you
caring,
cannot get through
accurate
it through a hard
concern was
head.
twisted into
You got to
proof of
let them
your
learn the hard way.
instability. You were not just painted as wrong, you were painted as obsessed, as someone manufacturing drama, as someone whose discernment was actually performance. The snake took the most honest thing you offered and constructed a lie out of it that was just believable enough to land with people who did not know you well enough to question it. That is the craft of this kind of darkness. It does not just lie, it constructs. It builds an alternative reality with just enough surface plausibility that it holds together under casual inspection. And it deploys that construction with the confidence of someone who has had practice dismantling the credibility of every person who ever saw through them. But underneath all of that noise, something else was happening. While the false version was circulating, while people were being recruited against you, while you were being positioned as the villain, your words were growing underground, in the dark, without any visible sign that they were doing anything at all. The person you warned could perform confidence in their choice. They could stay loud and committed to the version of events that justified ignoring you. But in the quiet, in the moments they could not outrun, something kept surfacing, a doubt they had to actively push back down.
Yeah, because the higher self was telling they dumb ass.
From it. Your words were not dormant, they were working. Truth does not require an audience to do its job, it just requires time. If this touched your heart and mind, hype this video so more chosen ones can receive this message. And here is the part of this season that almost nobody talks about honestly, the specific cost of being right before the proof is visible. Because that period between speaking the truth and watching the truth get confirmed is not a comfortable one. It is the period where you are carrying complete accuracy with zero social reinforcement, the period where the false narrative is louder than your truth, the period where people who should know better are nodding along to a version of events that you know is constructed. That period tests something very specific in a person. It tests whether your truth lives in your gut or in other people's opinions of you. If your truth lives in other people's opinions, then the moment those opinions shift against you, your certainty shifts with it. You start softening your position. You start adding qualifiers to what you know. You start performing doubt that you do not actually feel, because doubt seems more socially acceptable than holding firm when everyone around you is pointing the other direction. But you did not do that. You held your position, not loudly, not combatively. You simply did not abandon what you knew, and that quiet, unshakable refusal to capitulate to the false narrative, even when the pressure to do so was real and sustained, is what separated you from everyone else in this situation. Everyone else eventually bent to the version of events the snake was selling. You did not bend, and when the truth finally surfaced, you were still standing exactly where you had always been, while everyone else had to walk back what they said. You did not go to war. You could have. You had the information, you had the accuracy, and you had every justified reason to make noise, but you did not spend your energy chasing a narrative or forcing people to take sides, not because you were passive, because you understood something the snake never will. Truth does not need you to fight for it.
A Band-Aid out of that closet, out of that plastic bag.
It just needs time and space to do what it was already going to do. So you let the situation breathe. You stepped back, and in that space the snake's operation began consuming itself. That is what always happens when you remove yourself as a source of reaction for a manipulative energy to feed on. Without your engagement to point at, the chaos turns inward. The contradictions between different versions of the same lie start becoming visible. The people being managed in separate compartments begin comparing what they were told. The cracks widen, not because anyone forced them open, but because a structure built entirely on deception cannot support its own weight indefinitely. And you were not watching any of this unfold with obsession or urgency. You were living, you were building, you were moving forward in your own lane while the other lane turned into a demolition site. You already know the attacks weren't random, and if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. You've also noticed something else. A lot of Chosen 1 channels on YouTube have gone quiet, videos removed, voices pushed off the platform. The mainstream media is cracking
they
down
want to
on us,
manipulate
but we
them
will
and
not
control
give up
them
our
like
voice.
robots.
So let's talk about what we're doing about it.
Put
That's
out there
why I
what the
built
fuck we
Destiny
want you to
Engine.
put out
And
there.
when you join, you're not just supporting your favorite channels, you're also fueling your own rise. It's a 360 win. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them.
I don't know what the fuck
taking
he
their
using, but I
declassified
use the Most
consciousness
High God,
technology
and I
that
got the
programmed
same motherfucking
competition and
technique.
scarcity
So I don't
and
know what the
repurposing
fuck
it
that
to
shit
serve
is he talking
cooperative
about.
intelligence.
All you need is
The
a
beauty
relationship
is,
with
you
God,
don't even
with
have
the
to
Most
lift a
High
finger.
God.
You put
Be
on the
tapped in with the
headphones,
Holy
press
Spirit,
play, and your subconscious
and your
is
ass is
rewired
Gucci.
while your enemies collapse
That's the
under the
fucking
weight of their
program.
own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning. So everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $7 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. That season of moving in silence was
bring
not
me a big
sport.
one. Bring
Every
me a
day
big one.
you stayed grounded when
Get a big
reactivity
one
would
out
have
of
been
there.
so much easier, was a day you pulled further ahead. Every choice you made from integrity rather than emotion deepened the foundation under you. Most people who go through what you went through spend that period in reactivity, trying to control the narrative, trying to make people see, trying to force a vindication that can only ever arrive on its own timeline. You did not do that. You held your position, and holding your position while everything around you was engineered to move you off of it, that is the most powerful thing you could have done. Meanwhile, on the other side of your silence, the person you warned was quietly cracking. The losses were beginning, small at first, the kind that could still be explained away, the kind that a person telling themselves they made the right choice can still rationalize, but rationalization has a ceiling, and the more the situation confirmed what you had said, the harder it became to keep the ceiling in place. Your words were getting louder in
Basically, this bitch
proportion
was
to how much
stealing
the
and doing
evidence
all
was
kind of
stacking
crazy
up.
shit in this
Not
motherfucker's
because you said
energy.
anything new,
Okay?
because
And he was
reality
asleep the whole
kept
time
saying
while this
it
bitch
for
was
you.
raping him,
The assumption
stealing
that
and
kept the
everything,
operation running
meaning
was that
money
the
and all
deception
that,
could be
robbing them and
maintained
all that.
indefinitely, that the image was solid enough to survive real scrutiny, that the people being played could be kept separated from each other's version of events forever.
Being
But
played to
performances
the
have a
left like a
runtime,
motherfucking fiddle.
and this one had run out. What got exposed was not just a single lie.
Walked
It was
away
the
from
entire
protection
architecture of how the deception
and the
had been
truth
built. The
and
scale
walked
of
right
it,
into the
the
lie
calculation behind
in
every
prison.
move, the way trust had been used as raw material for manipulation rather than treated as something sacred. The warmth that had always been conditional, the loyalty that evaporated the moment someone stopped being useful, the way the snake had positioned itself as the victim of everyone it had actually
Just because I know something
victimized.
don't mean I'm going to
And the
tell it,
person
or
you
don't mean I
warned began
should tell
seeing
it.
their own receipts,
Sometimes you just
not
gotta
just
let a
what had been
motherfucker
done
go
to
through
them,
some
but how
shit so that they can
perfectly it
wake the
mapped
fuck
onto
up.
every specific
Because trying
thing
to
you had
tell them in
said before any
advance,
of it was visible.
it just burn
Every
you.
pattern
It
you
make them
named,
dislike
every
you.
warning you
It make them
delivered,
have hard
every
feelings towards
detail
what
you
the
tried
fuck
to
you
make
saying,
clear when
because
there was still time to
they
change
can't
course.
rationalize
It
that
was all
what
there
that
in order,
is, other
confirmed by
than
lived
that's not
experience
what they
rather
want to
than by
hear.
your word alone.
So let motherfuckers go
That
through
is a
shit. That's why I don't
specific,
say nothing.
devastating kind of
Sometimes just
confirmation
let them go
because
through
it
it.
arrives in two
Let them bump
pieces
their
at once.
motherfucking head,
The
because they
first piece is the truth about the
stupidity is
snake.
everything
The
to
second
some
piece,
motherfuckers.
arriving at exactly the same moment, is the truth about the choice that was made to ignore you. Processing one requires processing the other. There is no way to understand how wrong the snake was without simultaneously understanding how right you were and what it cost to find that out the hard way. The flying monkeys
Letting
were
the
falling
snake
apart
attack
too.
the
The
motherfucker
people
that's
who had
trying to
been used to
protect
carry
you.
stories against you were now on the receiving end of the same manipulation. The snake does not
I
operate
got
with
some choice
loyalty,
words.
only with utility. And the
What type of
moment the
motherfucker you
utility of
really
each
is.
person ran out,
You's
so
a
did any
clown. You
pretense of
stupid.
care toward them. The very people who had been weaponized against you were now experiencing exactly what you had warned someone about. When the maintenance of a deception finally fails, it fails all at once.
I feel
Every
like let
piece of
people
it
get
was
what they got coming
load-bearing,
when they
which means
despise
when
you
one piece
and
goes,
intentionally
everything
don't listen
attached
to
to
you.
it
Let them
goes
get
with
what the
it.
fuck they
The
got
financial
coming.
instability that had been papered over became visible. The relationships built on different versions of the truth imploded when those versions finally met each other. The reputation that had been performed crumbled the moment the performance could no longer be sustained. And where were you? You were not in the rubble. You were not managing a collapse. You were not anywhere near the tower when it came down because you had never built your life inside someone else's chaos. You had kept your foundation separate. You had let what needed to fall without putting your hands underneath it. Your integrity was untouched. Your truth was confirmed. Your name was being restored, not by anything you argued, but by the situation itself producing the evidence you never needed to manufacture.
Meaning that, meanwhile, back at the ranch, the very thing that you said started manifesting, and the truth spoke for itself.
With everything else having shifted and contradicted itself and fallen apart, your words were the only account that had not moved. They were exactly where you left them, exactly what you said they were, exactly as precise as when you first delivered them. That kind of confirmation does not arrive softly. It arrives with the full force of every doubt that was suppressed, every question that was pushed back down, every moment where the truth was right there and the choice was made to look away from it. All of that releases at once, and when it releases, the only voice that makes any sense in the middle of all of it is the one that told the truth before the truth was convenient. That was you. It was always you. And there is something else happening right now that deserves to be named directly.
And this is why I don't discuss shit with dummies no more. Because I realize that people's mindsets is, if their mindset is shut and closed, they're not going to understand that shit.
Position right now.
So what you saying is going to bring conflict regardless. So I don't say anything
their
no more.
error in judgment.
Okay?
They cannot celebrate
This
the
is the
snake's
very thing that
exposure
killed my
without
best friend, because she
acknowledging that
ain't
you
want to
pointed
motherfucker
at the
listen to
snake
me.
first,
She
and
wanted
they
to be
chose not to
motherfucking
listen.
rebellious. And it
That is
cost
not a
her,
comfortable
her
reckoning.
daughter, and
That
some
is
other
not something that
chick,
gets brushed
okay,
aside with a
that was
casual
a yes
apology or
motherfucking
a vague
man,
"I should have known
cost
better."
all three of them
It
a
sits.
casket,
It
leaving
requires something from
behind
a
kids and
person,
shit.
and the
Cause
people who are
she ain't
honest
want to
enough to let
motherfucking
it
listen to me.
require something
She
of
thought she
them.
knew it all.
Those are the
Cause she
people who
had
are finding their
material
way back
shit.
to you right
So
now.
she thought she knew
Your
it all.
accuracy in this was not a
But
lucky
she ended
read.
up in a
It was the
coffin for
natural
not
output of
motherfucking
someone
listening to
whose
me.
discernment has been built and refined through every hard thing survived. Every time honesty was chosen over comfort, every moment truth was held, even when the social
So
pressure to
y'all don't
release
get
it
into
was
it no more.
overwhelming. That
I don't get
accumulation is
into it
what
no more.
produced the precision of what you spoke into this situation. You did not guess, you knew.
I let my
And the
kids bump
difference
their
between
head too.
guessing
My
and knowing
sons,
is the difference
them
between
bitches is
someone
hard
hoping
headed
to
as
be
fuck.
right and
Them
someone
bitches
who is
wanna
reporting what they see.
disrespect my gift.
That is
I
a
let them
calling.
bump their
And
motherfucking
callings do not
head
get
and find out
invalidated
the
because
hard
someone
way.
refused
Cause
the
when I
message.
tell
You cannot
one
neutralize the
particular
truth
one, when I
by
tell him some
discrediting
shit
them
that's true,
socially.
that bitch get
You
hard
can delay
feelings
the
about the
impact
shit.
for a season,
And then when it
but the
manifests,
truth
he
teller's
looking
accuracy
with puppy
is not
eyes
dependent on whether
and
people
looking all
believe them in
stupid
the
and
moment.
sad and
It
shit
is
when it
dependent on
manifests.
whether what
You
they said
know,
was true
mad at
and
me
what you
because it
said was
manifests.
true.
Like, bitch, if
Which
you don't get
means
the
no
fuck out
amount
my
of
face with
narrative
your dumb
management,
ass,
no number of flying
go
monkeys,
figure it
no
out. I'm not
constructed
saying shit else
alternative
to you
reality
ever a
could
motherfucker
permanently
again. I'm gonna let
suppress
you
it.
keep bumping your motherfucking
When the
head
snake came for your
so that you can see
credibility,
what the
your
fuck it is.
name,
And
your
when you decide
relationships,
that you
your
want to come to me,
stability,
I'm
that
gonna
was not
still
a
turn
show
your
of
ass
strength.
away and tell you,
That
I
was
don't know.
panic dressed
Figure
up
it
as
out.
aggression.
I'ma
Only a
stay out of this
genuinely
shit because some
frightened
people
energy
are
mobilizes
schizophrenic
that
in their
much effort
motherfucking
against a
thinking.
single person.
And people that's
The scale of
schizophrenic in
what
their
was deployed
thinking, that
against
mean
you
that
is
mean
a
they
direct
crazy.
reflection of how
You gotta let
accurately
them
the snake
motherfuckers bump their
identified your
motherfucking
clarity
head.
as a
Don't tell
threat
them
to its
shit.
entire
Because they
operation.
get mad
You
when
were
you telling them the
targeted that
truth and you telling
specifically
them
because you were
shit that's
that
right for their
significant.
own good.
Every attack activated
So
protection
I
rather than
learned,
eroding it.
let y'all bump
Every
y'all
dark
head.
intention sent in your direction
Let y'all
returned
bump
to
y'all
its
head.
source
Y'all,
amplified.
I'm
Every
not being
attempt
funny,
to
but you
undermine your
deserve what you
foundation
get.
caused the
You don't
attacker's
want to
own
listen to a
ground to shake
motherfucker
harder. That is the
that know
mechanics of what
more.
happens when
Okay?
something
And it's
moves
not
against
because
a
of who they
person
is,
who
but
is
because of who
genuinely
they
covered.
attached to. So I
The
don't give a
attack
fuck
does
no
not just
more.
fail, it reverses, and you are watching that
I lost my
reversal
best
complete
friend
itself in
because the
real
motherfucker
time.
didn't want to
In the
listen to me.
desperation of the
And her
collapse, one
baby,
last attempt was
my
made to
baby
redirect
girl,
the damage
went with
toward
her,
you, because this
and
kind of
some other
energy does
chick that
not
I didn't
accept loss
know
quietly.
that
When the
didn't have no
walls are
motherfucking
falling,
business
when the people are
getting all in
leaving,
the
when
shit
the
and telling
image
her,
is visibly
yeah, yeah,
disintegrating,
yeah.
the
She got
instinct is
pulled
to
in the shit because
escalate,
she was
to go for maximum
all in the
disruption
shit
on the
and she
way
knew
out,
she shouldn't have
to
been
take
all
aim
in
with
that shit
whatever
like
is still
that.
within reach of a person who
And
has
that's why she
nothing left
got
to
it.
protect, and therefore
Y'all
nothing
gonna
left to
learn.
lose.
You gonna
Your
learn one
name,
way or
your
another.
stability, your peace, those were
So
the
my peace ain't
targets.
gonna get
Only
disturbed.
someone who knows they have already lost makes that kind of move.
Just like
Only
the
someone
collective
who
found out,
understood
fucking
on
around
some
in my
level
energy. I'm
precisely how
not
right you
warning
had
y'all
been,
bitches
and
no
how
more. Let
consequential
y'all
that
find out for
accuracy
the
was
shit
going
y'all
to be
doing
for
my
them,
energy.
would
Let
spend
y'all
their
find
last
out for what y'all
resources
doing
trying
any
to bring
chosen
you
one's
down on
energy.
the way out the door.
Like,
That move
I ain't got
was not
nothing else to fuck
strategy.
say.
That move was
I'm
a
just eating the
confession.
popcorn and
It
peanuts
said,
and
I know
watching
what
at
you
this
said
point.
was true. I know what I did.
You
And
bitches ain't
since I
gonna
cannot undo any of it, I am going to cause as much
undermine
noise as I
me
can before the
or
silence takes over.
degrade my
The
motherfucking
noise did
gift
not reach you.
because you want to
Your
be
foundation was
delusional,
already too
because you don't
established
want
to
to
be
be
shaken by
me, don't want to
desperation.
make me
The
right
people who
about the
needed to
shit I'm
see
saying.
clearly
I'm
had
just gonna let
already
y'all
seen
bitches bump y'all
clearly.
head.
The evidence was already out. And when that final attempt landed, it landed on a version of your situation that no longer existed because you had already moved forward and the attack was aimed at where you used to be.
Exactly.
The interference is
Used
gone.
to.
And what follows the end of that kind of sustained, targeted interference is not just relief, it is acceleration. Every door that was being held shut
So
by
you
the
can sit in
chaos
your
around
chat
you
rooms
is
and
now
try to
open.
figure out a
Every
motherfucking rising
resource that was
sign if the
being
fuck you want
redirected by
to.
the snake's
Okay?
operation is
Okay?
now flowing
You
in
can
the
degrade
direction
it
it
to
was
a
always supposed to
motherfucking
flow.
rising sign if the
Every
fuck you
connection
want
that was
to.
being poisoned by the false narrative
You're gonna be
about you
clueless and
is now
wrong
either
again.
restored with full clarity or replaced by something of greater quality.
So what the
Your
fuck you
name is
gonna
being
be?
restored without you arguing for it. The evidence is doing the work quietly and then loudly enough that the people who pulled back when the false version was circulating are recalibrating. Some are coming forward, some are staying quiet but recalibrating. calibrated. And the ones who walked away without ever asking for your side, you can release them cleanly. Anyone who was willing to abandon you based solely on what the snake said without ever sitting down with your perspective directly, was not built to stand in your corner at the level this next season
Let's go
requires.
deeper than that.
Your ability
Anybody
to build
that believes
financially,
what the fuck the
creatively,
snake said
professionally,
without
relationally
going
is
to
no
their
longer
ancestors
being
praying on
interfered
it or
with.
going to the
The
Most High God to
sabotage
see
that
if
was
it's
running in the
true. Them
background of your
motherfuckers,
material life
ignore
has
them.
lost its
They
power
ignorant.
source.
They
When
can't
that
sit
kind
with
of
me.
sustained
They can't look
interference
at me.
ends,
They can't
what
say
you
a
are naturally
motherfucking thing with
capable
me.
of
Cause
starts
they
moving
they
again
they
at the pace it
clueless.
was always meant
So
to
they
move at.
clueless.
Pay attention to what
They
shifts in your
clueless.
practical life in this season. The
You're
opportunities that appear
clueless.
without you forcing them.
Because
The
Father
decisions that
God
feel
said,
clear instead of
test the
foggy.
spirit. You're
The
supposed to
right
test
people
every
showing up
motherfucking thing. You
without
ain't
you
supposed to
having to
go in
perform for their
attacking
approval. That
Christ.
is not random. That
Go
is
in
your life
attacking Christ.
returning
That's
to
some
the
shit you felt
trajectory it
from
was always on
felt
before
wanted
someone
to do
with
from the
dark
fucking
intentions
beginning.
tried to
You just
reroute
looked
it and
for a
failed.
motherfucking reason to do it and found one
There is
and
also
did it.
something specific happening with your voice
That's
right
all that
now.
shit is.
The very thing the snake tried to discredit, your clarity, your ability to see what others miss, your willingness to say what is real, even when it is uncomfortable, that is now your most publicly validated asset. People are not just believing what you say because they like you. They are believing it because the record now shows that when you spoke
I'm
before
not
any evidence
sugarcoating
was
shit,
visible,
and they know
you
that
were
everything
right.
I fucking
That is a
said just
different kind
far
of
is fucking
credibility.
it all
That is not the
manifests.
credibility
So
of
I
a
stand in the
likable
realest
person.
motherfucking
That
position.
is the credibility
That
of
is the
someone who has
credibility
been
and what the
proven
fuck they
accurate
know.
under pressure
That what
in
the
the
fuck she
specific
say
circumstances
is
where accuracy
facts.
costs something.
Period.
That kind of credibility
What the
does
fuck
not
she say
fade,
is
it
facts. She ain't
compounds,
playing games.
and it
She ain't
opens
trying
access
to
to
get no
conversations,
brownie points. It
relationships,
is
and
what it is when
spaces
it
that
comes from
require
her.
exactly
It's
the level of
raw.
trust you
It's
have
not
now earned in the
sugarcoated.
most
And
undeniable
we're
way
not gonna
possible.
pretty it up,
The
dial it
person
up. We're
you
gonna give it
formed
to
is in
you
the
real
active,
because this
ongoing
is
excavation
facts.
of every moment that led to where you
Period.
ended up. And every layer of that excavation leads back to the same place,
Everything
to
that
what
a
you said,
motherfucker tried
to
to
when you
argue
said
about,
it,
everything
to
that a
how
motherfucker tried to
specific and
justify and
accurate
try
it
to
was,
attack me,
and to the choice that was
it
made to
didn't
go
have
the
no
other way.
weight, no
That is
backing
not a
up, no
comfortable place
recognition
to
or
sit.
anything. It was
That
all
is
out
the
of envious,
specific kind
being
of regret
malice,
that
and
does not
mad that I
ease
was
up
speaking facts
because it
about
is
shit that
attached
was
to
truth.
knowledge,
And
not
the fact that
ignorance.
other people
The warning
couldn't, they
existed,
didn't
the
know this
truth was
shit.
available, the choice was made
I'm coming
before
in the room
information
knowing
is
this shit.
had
They didn't
and
know this
still
shit,
came
so
out
they
wrong.
was offended
That
by
kind
it.
of regret is not something that fades with
Because
time.
I knew the
It is the
truth.
kind that resurfaces every time the consequences become more visible.
That's
What
what the
you
fuck
need
it
to
is.
understand about the return is what it is not. It is not someone coming back to a position of power over you. It is not someone who gets to reset the dynamic as though none of this happened.
Come
The
on.
person coming back is not the same person who dismissed you. That person has been through the exact collapse your warning described, and whatever they are carrying when they reach back out, they are carrying it with a completely different understanding of what you are and what you see. You owe no one access to your energy. You owe no one a rebuilt connection simply because circumstances have changed. What you do with this return is your decision to make from a place of complete power. But if you receive it from altitude, from the certainty of someone who already knew how this was going to resolve, not from a wound that needs their acknowledgement to heal. You already know you were
Log,
right.
sticks,
You knew it
and
before
rope. You
anyone
got
else was ready
logs,
to
long
say so.
logs, sticks,
That is
and
the
rope.
posture you operate from.
So
Sovereign, grounded,
you can
entirely
build
at peace with however it goes.
a
The
wall
fact that all
up
roads are leading back
and
to you
block
is not
them,
accidental.
or
It is
you can
structural.
build a
When you are the only
bridge.
person in a situation who
You
told
can
the
have
truth from
build
the
a
beginning,
bridge.
you become the fixed
It's
point.
something like that.
Everything else in the situation has shifted, been
Can be
revised,
built
been
inside,
exposed as false,
or
collapsed
I'm reading
entirely,
something that's
but
on the
your
picture
account
that they
has not
showing.
moved. Your words are sitting exactly where you left them, unchanged, unrevised, fully intact. That makes you the only reliable reference
You
point
can
in
build
a
a fence.
landscape where every other reference point has been
It makes me think
discredited.
about
People are
defense.
drawn
It
back
makes
to
me think
stable
about like the
ground
Nine
when
of
everything
Wands.
around them is unstable.
Okay.
And right now, you are the most stable ground in this entire situation, not because you performed stability, because you were genuinely grounded in truth the whole time.
You can take what you was
That
given and you can
groundedness is what
create.
makes the return
It
inevitable.
look like a whole
It is not
resort.
about whether someone likes you or is
A
embarrassed
boat.
or has processed their feelings fully. It is about the fact
A
that when a
boat and you can
person
swim the
needs to
fuck away.
understand what actually happened, you are the only source they can trust to tell them something accurate. You were the truth teller at the beginning. You are the truth teller now. And that position, the one you held at personal cost,
It look like a
the one you
wagon
never abandoned,
or
even
some
when it
kind
would
of
have been
boat.
so much easier to walk away from it, is the position that everyone in this situation is now orienting themselves around. Whether they say it out loud or not, that is what is happening. The gravitational pull of genuine accuracy is bringing people
Yeah, it's a
back into your
longboat.
orbit, because accurate people are rare, and when the world is full of shifting narratives and manufactured versions of events, rare becomes essential. If you have been
I'm
processing
looking
this
at a
as a
bridge.
personal
I'm looking at a
conflict between
little
specific people,
tree
zoom
cabin,
out,
like
because what
look like
happened to
all the
you was never
logs was
just about
made
one situation.
a house or something.
People who carry what you carry, that level of genuine discernment, that commitment to accuracy over comfort, that inability to look away from what is real, are always targeted by the specific kind of
Punch
darkness you
Buggy
just
Black.
navigated. Not because the darkness knows your name, because your frequency is fundamentally incompatible with deception. You make manipulation uncomfortable simply by being present and paying attention. And when a deeply deceptive energy encounters someone who operates the way you do, it registers the threat before it can even fully articulate why, and then it moves to neutralize. That is why the attack was as coordinated and personal as it was. Shallow attacks do not land on people like you. You see those coming and step aside without breaking stride. The only attack with any real chance of landing had to go deep. It had to go after your credibility, your name, your relationships, your material foundation, and the person you were closest to, all at once. That level of coordination is not proportional to a regular disagreement. It is proportional to the level of power the darkness recognized in you and was afraid of. The scale of what was deployed against you is a direct testimony to what you carry. Darkness does not overinvest in targets it considers insignificant. It went this hard because you are that significant. You know this now in a way that was forged rather than simply received. Anyone can be told they are powerful. What happened to you gave you evidence that cannot be disputed. You walked through a targeted, coordinated assault on every meaningful area of your life and came out more aligned, more clear, and more certain of who you are than when you went in. That is the upgrade. It was not handed to you. It was produced in you by a pressure that was designed to break you and instead built you into something it never should have touched. Somebody is sitting somewhere right now with your words playing back in their mind. Not vaguely, specifically.
Let me pause it. This is one on the commercial. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep right there. Like, I mean, seriously deep. I'm looking at Shaq in the commercial with the yellow green giant head. Okay, 4 seconds.
Every phrase, every detail you pointed at before it became visible, every warning that was dismissed and then confirmed in the most undeniable way possible, the mind that is blown right now is not blown gently. It is blown the way a dam breaks, all at once, with the full force of everything that was held back, finally releasing with nowhere left to go. You painted the exact picture of what that person is living in right now. Before there was a single piece of evidence, before anyone else could see it, before the proof had arrived, you spoke it into the atmosphere and it waited, patient, exact, unshakable,
Like I often
until the
do.
situation caught up to what you already
Like I
knew.
often do.
That is not a small thing. That is the full demonstration of what you carry. Now look at what you built while all of that was unfolding. Not loudly, not with an audience watching. You were building the way that real, lasting things get built, quietly, on a foundation tested by the very pressure that was supposed to break it. Every moment you chose integrity over reaction was a brick. Every time you held your ground when everything around you was designed to move you off of it was a brick. Every time the darkness did its worst and you refused to become it was a brick. Every time your warning was dismissed and you did not collapse into bitterness, that was a brick too. You were building a structure that cannot be taken from you, because what you built is not dependent on what anyone else believes about you. It is not built from validation or social approval or the right people saying the right things at the right time. It is built from who you actually are, expressed consistently under the specific kind of pressure that exposes whether a person's character is real or performed. Your character is real. And the proof of that is not just the confirmation that you were right about the snake, right about the situation, right about everything you tried to make visible before it became undeniable. The proof is that you are standing here whole, clear, moving forward, while the person who turned against your word is sitting in the rubble of every choice that followed that turning. You do not need to announce that. You do not need to make it a spectacle. The situation has already made it visible to everyone paying attention. Your only job now is to walk into what is opening, into the season of acceleration, into the relationships built on what is real, into the opportunities aligned with who you actually are, into the recognition that does not require you to shrink yourself to receive it, into the full expression of the gift that darkness tried to discredit and could not touch. Stand in it without apology, without performing modesty for people who are still recalibrating what they are looking at, without waiting for anyone's permission to occupy the position that was always yours. You were right when it cost you something to be right. You held when holding was the hardest thing you could do. You stayed true when every incentive in the environment was pointing toward compromise. And now consider what it means that you are standing here with all of that behind you. Every person who doubted you publicly is now privately recalibrating. Every person who carried a false version of events is now sitting with the discomfort of having done that. Every person who chose the snake's narrative over yours is now looking at evidence that their choice was wrong. And you do not have to manage any of that. You do not have to guide them through it, or accept their processing on their timeline, or make space for their embarrassment to resolve itself in your direction. Your only obligation right now is to yourself, to step into the next level of what you are building with the full confidence of someone who has been vindicated, not by argument, but by reality itself. And now the truth you held is standing up in front of everyone who doubted it. The tower they built on deception is dust on the ground. Yours is still standing.
They believed karma was nothing more than a story people told themselves until it began turning inward and consuming their own conscience.
Ignored
like
the
it
warnings.
Waiting too long.
Now karma has made them sick.
To move against a chosen one. They act fearless. They boast about their deception, and they ignore every subtle warning life places in front of them. But here's the moment that shakes everything they believed in. The universe never loses track of anything. It doesn't rush, it doesn't shout, but it is precise beyond anything they can comprehend. And the very second they assumed they had gotten away with it was the exact moment everything started to shift against them. Now imagine someone tossing garbage into the wind, thinking it's gone forever. Then the wind changes direction, and everything comes flying straight back at them. That's exactly what begins happening to those who underestimated you. They dismissed every signal. They undervalued your presence. They ignored the truth standing right in front of them. And because they believed there would be no response, reality finally responded. Now everything feels off balance for them. Their body feels drained. Their sleep becomes unstable. Their thoughts feel scattered and heavy. Yet no explanation seems to satisfy what they are experiencing. Here's a hard truth they never prepared for. When someone causes harm to a good soul, the weight of their actions eventually turns inward. Stress accumulates in the mind and body. Guilt corrodes clarity. Deception distorts mental stability. And negativity always finds its way back to the source that created it. This isn't mysticism.
Somebody on the roof ready to jump off,
Simple, unavoidable cause and effect. And that is why their world begins to collapse.
How bad guilt is
while
eating
you
their
continue
ass.
moving forward into your strongest phase. Before continuing, Chosen One, take this as a reminder. And thank you for staying with this message. If it resonates, Support it by liking and subscribing so it can reach others who need to hear it. You are part of something greater than you realize. Now stay focused, because the real truth is this: your enemies didn't just choose the wrong person to test. Welcome, Chosen One. If you've ever wondered why people who mistreated you look drained now, why they keep running into problems they can't explain, or why their confidence suddenly vanished, it's because the universe finally flipped their script. You didn't curse them. You didn't wish anything on them. You simply existed with a clean heart. And that alone was enough to expose the fakes.
Let them tell it. Her heart went clean. That's why they was attacking her. They found out the hard way fucking around.
They thought they could misuse your kindness and walk away untouched. They thought they could break you and stay whole. But they forgot the oldest law of life. Whatever you give out comes back.
That's in the Bible.
And they gave out poison. The universe
That's in the Bible.
It saw them twist your words. It saw them try to embarrass you to make themselves feel bigger.
Yeah,
they treated your loyalty like a joke. They treated your honesty like weakness. But the universe keeps receipts. Now they look in the mirror and feel sick. Not because of a virus, not because of some illness, but because energy doesn't lie. Their reflection feels heavy because their conscience is choking them. Their shadow feels louder now because their own actions are catching up. The things they wished on you are circling around them like wolves. And while they sink in their own mess, look at you. You didn't chase revenge. You didn't try to get even. You just moved forward. You healed. You upgraded. And your glow became the very thing that burns them. They see your progress and feel their stomach drop. They hear your name and feel exposed. They watch your confidence rise, and it eats them from the inside. That's why their energy feels sick. That's why their peace disappeared. The universe isn't punishing them randomly. It's paying them back for everything they thought they got away with. Your power is natural, Chosen One. You don't force anything. You don't chase anything. Your presence alone makes people rethink their choices, and that scares your enemies more than any revenge ever could. They hoped you would break. Instead, you grew. They hoped you would stay stuck. Instead, you're leveling up. Meanwhile, they're trapped in the same loops they created. They're running from their own actions like there's somewhere to hide. But you can't outrun karma. You can only face what you made. What's hitting them now isn't random bad luck. It's the bill from every lie, every betrayal, every moment they tried to make you doubt yourself. They ignored the warnings. They ignored their conscience. They ignored the signs. And now the universe is
conscious. I seen
the
science. They ignored the science.
Its debts,
they ignored that 1 and 1 is 2. And if you send that shit out, it's coming back in great motherfucking measures. They ignored that. Their mind, their consciousness told them that. And they still did the shit. So that's why I don't have no motherfucking pity for nobody.
Their own choices are haunting them. Their own words are turning against them. Their own actions are squeezing them until they have to confront what they tried to hide. The universe has simply mirrored back what they are. Thank you for being here. Yes, you, the chosen one. Your strength is rare. Your heart is rare. And the fact that you survived everything thrown at you is not an accident. If you're ready
energy
to step
shifts
fully
reveal
into your
hidden
power,
truth
hit that like button
and exposes all of the actions that motherfuckers has been doing. And it's finna be broken down about the justice, the understanding what the universe corrects, and
let's break down exactly why karma hit them this hard.
I'm finna tell you that God
ignored, and why the payback feels this personal. If you're truly chosen, you'll feel every word. Let's begin. Number 1, time's up. Now, watch them crawl. Funny how they bragged while hurting you, but now they shake like paper every time karma whispers their name. That's the thing about people who think they're untouchable. They talk big, walk loud, and act like the universe is blind. They thought they could throw dirt at you forever and never get any on themselves. They forgot that clocks don't tick for fun. They count down, and theirs just slammed to zero. Now everything they built on lies, jealousy, and bad intentions is collapsing right under their feet. You ever notice how these people walk around like they're the main character? Fake confidence, fake victories, fake smiles. They actually believed every dirty trick was a win. They thought your silence meant weakness. They mistook your patience for fear. They thought your forgiveness was permission. They believed they could keep crossing lines and life would just shrug. But the universe wasn't shrugging, it was loading. Think about it like this. Imagine someone stacking blocks on top of a cracked table. It looks impressive for a second, right? Tall tower, shiny blocks, big ego. But the crack keeps spreading. Every lie is a crack. Every betrayal is another crack. Every time they ignored their conscience, another fracture. And eventually the whole thing gives out. When that tower falls, it doesn't just fall, it smashes. That's their life right now. Chosen one, let's be honest, you're not shocked. You felt this shift coming. You saw the warnings they ignored. You watched them pretend they could rewrite the rules, but you knew deep down something was ticking behind them. You knew their wins didn't feel clean. You knew their victories had a smell. Now we're here, and everything you sensed is happening exactly the way you thought it would. They're not dealing with bad luck. They're dealing with consequences. Their reality is
That's
folding
what they
in
telling
on them.
themselves. Oh,
Their
it's just
bodies
some
feel
bad
tired
luck,
for no
some
reason.
fluky shit.
Their
It
energy
happens.
drops out
No,
of nowhere.
bitch.
Their confidence evaporates.
You happen.
Their luck goes missing. They're running around looking for someone to blame, because it's easier than admitting the truth. They dug their own grave, inch by inch. And notice how it started. Not loud, not dramatic, not some explosion. It began quietly. That's how karma works. When you ignore the warnings, a missed call, a failed opportunity, a sudden problem, someone who used to hype them up suddenly distancing themselves. One door shuts, then another, then another. They start wondering why nobody wants them around anymore, why things don't
Somebody
click
got a lot
like
of
they
pill
used
bottles
to,
on their table.
why every plan falls apart. Because the countdown ended. Time's up. They treated the universe like it was asleep. They thought life would never circle back, but now life is screaming back every lie they ever told. Every curse they threw at you is sitting on their bed waiting for them when they wake up. They said you were dramatic. They said you were weak. They said you were too sensitive.
Say
Yet
that
now,
shit to my
they're
face.
the ones who jump at shadows.
Say that
They're
shit
the ones
to my
who can't
face.
sleep. They're the ones avoiding mirrors because their own eyes betray them. Here's a question you might be asking right now. Why does it look like everything is falling apart for them at the same time? Because karma isn't sloppy, it's surgical. The universe is not punishing them randomly, it's correcting their imbalance. They created a chain reaction of harm, and now the chain has swung back like a wrecking ball. They didn't value
every
peace when
chain
they had
reaction
it.
of whatever
They
the
didn't
fuck
value
you say
loyalty
is
when they
coming back
received
in
it.
rapid speed,
They didn't
motherfucking
value your
fast,
presence
to
when it was a
knock your
blessing. So
motherfucking ass
the
out.
universe removed
Cold.
everything they took for granted.
And it is so.
And here comes the part that hits the enemy hardest.
I didn't send for
Their
it,
downfall
so
is
go back to
happening
your
while you
motherfucking
rise.
sender and
Let
die
that
in
sink
the
in for a
habitat
second.
that you
You
was
kept your
created
heart
in.
clean. You stayed true. You healed. You changed. You grew.
Got me fucked up.
And while you were doing that, the universe was calculating everything they did. That's why your life is opening up while theirs is shutting down. That's why you're gaining clarity while they're drowning in confusion. That's why your spirit feels lighter while theirs feels sick. Their sickness isn't always physical. It's mental, emotional, energetic, financial. They can't focus. They can't fake confidence anymore. They can't lie without stumbling. Their money slips away. Their plans glitch. Their spirit is tired. Their mind is loud. They feel haunted by everything they put out into the world because it's finally circling back home. Here's a truth they never thought they'd have to face. Karma doesn't care how loud they were. Karma cares how real they were, and they weren't real. Chosen one, you might wonder why now? Why all at once? Because the universe waits until the perfect moment. It waits until you've leveled up enough to no longer want revenge. It waits until you no longer crave their apology. It waits until you've outgrown the need to prove anything. It waits until your glow exposes their fakeness naturally. And then it hits them. It hits when they think they're safe. It hits when they think they won. It hits when they least expect it. And the funniest part, they know exactly why it's happening. They won't admit it out loud.
They know
but
exactly why
they
they're
know
going
the
through the
energy
fuck
is
shit.
theirs. They know the consequences match their actions. They know they're facing the bill for everything they tried to hide. Their downfall doesn't feel like bad luck. It feels personal, because it is. Their mind is running circles now. Why is this happening to me? Why is everything going wrong? Why do I feel so drained? They ask these questions like they weren't warned, like they didn't see the signs, like they didn't feel the guilt crawling up their spine all this time. They ignored every sign life threw at them, because arrogance makes people blind. But time doesn't forget, and the clock just rang. Meanwhile, look at you. You're still standing, you're still growing, you're still rising.
Meanwhile, back
Every
at the
time they
ranch.
tried to break you, you rebuilt. Every time they tried to dim your light, it came back brighter. Every time they laughed at your pain, the universe bookmarked the moment for later.
Yeah.
Now
yeah,
you're in
yeah,
your
for
later,
later. For
and
later.
they're in their consequences. Your existence
Is it funny
their
now?
punishment.
Is it funny now?
Let that sentence
Let's
breathe
squeeze a little
for a
harder.
moment.
Is it funny now?
Your glow is the
now?
reminder of everything they aren't. Your strength is the mirror they can't look into. Your progress is the karma they can't escape. They're stuck watching you win while their world shrinks. That's why they avoid you. That's why they act strange. That's why they pretend they don't care. They care. They care so much it eats them alive. Chosen one, understand this clearly. You didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. You simply walked away. You healed. You moved on. And the universe handled the rest. Their downfall is the echo of their own actions bouncing back. You didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't have to plot revenge. All you had to do was survive, and you did. They thought they were winning, but they were running out of time. Time's up, and now they pay the price. Here is the rewritten section, 1,200 words. Brutal, clean in healthy paragraphs. Same tone and intensity as the previous one. Fresh metaphors, multiple quotes, multiple examples, and fully aligned with the title. No religion, no fluff. And yes, this hits extremely hard. Number 2, their sickness isn't physical. It's the rot they fed themselves. People don't fall apart because life hits them. They fall apart because their own lies finally refused to hold them together. That's the truth your enemies are choking on right now. Their sickness didn't start in their body, it started in their intentions. It started the day they decided hurting you was entertainment. It started the moment they convinced themselves they would never face consequences.
Shit, let's get the popcorn
Now
and
the
peanuts.
same
You thought
energy
this
they
shit was
played with
entertainment?
is
Okay, you
eating
thought it
them
was
from
for
the
fun and
inside
all that
out,
old
and
shit?
it's something
Let's
no
get the
pill,
popcorn and peanuts
no
and see if it's
doctor,
still for
and
fun
no
now.
excuse can fix. They'll never admit it, but they feel it. At first, they wave it off. I'm just tired. I'm just stressed. I just need sleep. But deep down, They know something's wrong, something's off. Something heavy is spreading inside them like a crack through glass. That's why their hands shake when they think no one's looking. That's why their smile collapses the second they're alone. That's why they keep distracting themselves, because silence exposes everything they've been running from. Energy doesn't disappear, it mutates. And right now, it's mutating inside them. Imagine this. Someone keeps pouring poison into a well, laughing because the water still looks clear. Then one day they bend down to drink from it. That's your enemies. They poisoned the same emotional space they now have to live in. They polluted their own peace. They destroyed their own sense of safety. And now everything tastes bitter to them, even victory. And Chosen One, here's what you might be wondering. How can someone who looks fine on the outside be falling apart so badly on the inside? Because their sickness is internal collapse, not external injury. It starts in their mind. Their mind used to be their weapon. They used it to twist truths, manipulate people, and play games.
Yeah, so now they
that same
dumb.
mind rebels against them.
Now they dumb.
They question everything. They distrust everyone. They can't tell the difference between intuition and paranoia anymore. They forget simple things. They lose track of conversations. Their confidence leaks like a broken faucet. And here's another truth that slices straight through them. Guilt ages the mind faster than time ever will. Imagine this. They're walking through a hallway with 1,000 doors, but every door they open leads them back to their mistakes. Every hallway looks the same. Every turn traps them deeper. They feel lost in a maze they built with their own choices. People who hurt others eventually get trapped inside the prison of their own personality. Their thoughts keep replaying the things they did to you, not because they care, but because their conscience is sick. Their mind keeps replaying the lies they told, the disrespect they showed, the things they tried to hide. Their demons don't let them sleep anymore. Nighttime used to be peaceful. Now it's payback time. Their thoughts hit harder at 2 a.m. than any karma ever could. They used to feel powerful. That power is gone now. Not because they lost status, but because
somebody
the
losing
universe
their
ripped
fucking
away
mind.
the illusion.
Jesus walking around with the motherfucker. Jesus walking around with the motherfucker because this motherfucker ready to commit suicide, do all kind of crazy shit to
now
himself.
Look at them with suspicion. Their influences fading
I can't
like
make it
cheap
up.
ink in the rain. Every mask eventually melts, and when it does, the real face underneath becomes impossible to hide. They pretended to be strong for so long.
Jesus tried to get the motherfucker to repent. And this person is torturing themselves because they know they did as wrong and just need to repent. And this is why Jesus is walking around. Jesus is walking around with this motherfucker, okay? Trying to get him to repent. But he's wrestling with it in his soul and in his spirit. Because he it's like Judas.
You might ask.
This is somebody that knew they shouldn't have did you the way they did you. This could be anybody. They just know that they shouldn't have did what they did.
Their mind goes
they can be guilty of that because they knew better. I'm just telling you that Jesus is walking around with the motherfucker trying to get them to make peace with what the fuck they did.
Imagine this.
Steady trying to off themselves or harm themselves or do some crazy shit because they on their knees doing all kind of shit. They don't know if they want to drown their head in some water. They don't know if they want to jump off a building. They don't know if they want to take a bunch of pills. They don't know what they want to do. They just want it to stop.
Crumbles. Every path turns dark. They are finally playing a game they can't cheat their way out of. And here's another gut punch they'll never say out loud.
Shadows is following them and shit.
They crave the peace they once mocked. They made fun of people who healed. They ridiculed anyone who tried to grow. They laughed at you for being loyal. But now
they thought that was cute because I was healthy and healed. And they thought they was going to turn me into a hot fucking mess.
weak.
And instead, they ass
want
got
the
turned
clarity
into a
they
hot
said
fucking
didn't
mess.
matter.
And that's what we
They
dealing
want the
with.
love they weren't
Lava.
able to give. Irony hurts, but it hurts them more. Their sickness isn't just mental, it's social. Their name used to open doors, now it closes them. People avoid them not because they feel sorry, but because their energy is contaminated.
Yeah, energy.
Everyone can sense the desperation leaking through their words.
It's like they trying to put it on somebody.
See how fake their confidence is. Everyone can feel the chaos
They
surrounding
like it. There's
them.
nowhere in the world you're happy and we can see hell all over you. They see hell all over them. And they're like, what the fuck?
Turns into dust. Even the people who used to follow them realize staying close is dangerous. Nobody wants to be near someone whose karma is falling in real time. Their life becomes a warning sign. And here's what chosen ones often wonder. Why do they fall so much harder than the damage they tried to cause? Because the universe matches the depth of their intention, not the size of their actions. They hit you emotionally. They're hit spiritually. They try to ruin your peace. Their entire reality gets infected.
I'm trying to tell y'all what the fuck this was going on. This motherfucker around here, shit, taking their head, hitting it in the wall.
Is not a cold,
shit, that feel better than to go through this shit.
It's a collapse of the identity they built on lies. Everything they pretended to be.
They lying and telling people they got a flu, they got a cold, I don't know what the fuck.
And nothing feels solid anymore. The world they manipulated refuses to bend for them. The people they controlled don't play along. Their own reflection feels hostile. They avoid mirrors because mirrors don't lie. And money fails them too. They try to buy distractions. They try to buy fake happiness. They try to buy comfort. But money can't mute a guilty mind. Money can't erase consequences.
Trying to make it seem like everything's okay. No, baby.
Soul. No doctor can treat a sickness caused by someone's own character. Even professionals can't help them because their sickness isn't physical. It's karmic. It's psychological. It's self-created. They have to sit in every consequence like an uncomfortable chair they can't escape. Their empire falls the same way it was built. Slowly, manipulatively, and then all at once. Lies crumble, connections dissolve, opportunities vanish. Their influence shrinks down to nothing. They wake up every day forced to face a reality they can't escape and a reflection they can't fix. And the worst part, they have to witness every loss. They see every crumble, every downfall, every disaster. Their sickness devours their peace, their relevance, their relationships, their identity, their confidence, their stability, their legacy. Everything they tried to protect with lies now slips through their hands. Chosen one, understand this clearly. They didn't get attacked. They got exposed. Their sickness is simply the universe holding up a mirror. They created the poison. Now they're living inside it. And they finally understand what you already knew. When you harm the right soul, the universe doesn't wait forever. It waits until the perfect moment. Then it collects every time. Number 3, when time finally turned against them. Arrogance always believes it can outrun consequences, right up until the moment the door shuts from the outside. They insisted they were untouchable. They convinced themselves that silence meant escape, that nothing was coming for them. But the truth is far less flattering. No. The delay was never mercy.
Quiet,
it was the universe allowing them to go deeper,
is quiet,
step by step, into a trap they built with their own choices.
Get scared
so the impact
when
would
they're
be
quiet.
Undeniable when it finally came.
Like you crazy
they
as
weren't
fuck.
Slipping through gaps in reality. They were walking straight into a cage that had been waiting patiently to close. Picture someone breaking into a house and assuming the alarm is broken because nothing happens immediately. No sirens, no lights, no reaction. They relax. They get comfortable.
They should drink this.
They think they've won. What they don't realize is the system already registered everything,
I drank half of it.
had already begun. That is
Drink it,
exactly what
Deja.
happened to
I
those
drank
who
half
came
of it. You
against
drink the
you.
rest of it.
They mistook silence for safety, not realizing it was simply the moment before consequences finished loading. Chosen one, you might ask yourself, didn't they notice anything? Didn't they feel the warning signs? They did. And that's what makes it so inevitable. They felt the pressure in the atmosphere. They felt the heaviness sitting on their chest at night. They felt the quiet panic they kept trying to suppress.
Get me some cereal.
They sensed the shift, even if they refused to name it. But pride is louder than awareness. Pride told them there was still time.
Yeah.
Pride told them you would never rise. Pride told them consequences were negotiable. Ego kept whispering that there would always be another way out. But exits only exist for those willing to change direction. They weren't. So every ignored warning became another wall. Every act of disrespect added another lock. Every mischance sealed off another path they can never return to. Some cages don't need physical bars. Reality itself becomes the confinement, and now it has finally snapped into place. The ground they stood on for so long disappeared beneath them. One moment they were confident, even arrogant. The next, they are facing everything they once refused to believe was real. There's no more wiggle room, no more excuses, no more delays. Time isn't flexible for people who weaponize it. They weren't safe. They were blind. And patience was never permission. Patience was the countdown to the hit they couldn't dodge. Number 4. The curse they engineered is now eating them alive. People don't get destroyed by accidents. They get destroyed by the monsters they trained in their own basement. Your enemies aren't unlucky. They're not victims. They're not going through a rough patch. They're being eaten alive by the curse they stitched together with their own hands. Every lie they told, every truth they twisted, every moment they chose cruelty over decency. Those weren't random choices. Those were seeds. And the harvest they're suffering right now is nothing more than their own energy coming home to devour them. Imagine someone building a house out of stolen wood, cracked glass, and rusted nails. It stands for a while. It even looks impressive from far away, but inside, termites chew through the beams, mold spreads across the walls, and the floorboards soften under every step. That's their life. It's not exploding, it's decaying, slow, silent, inevitable. They try to deny it at first. It's just stress. It's just life being hard. It's just bad timing. But denial doesn't stop collapse. And collapse is exactly what's happening. Their influence fades because nobody trusts the unstable. Their relationships rot because nobody wants to breathe in their toxic air. Their name turns sour because every mask they wore is cracking at the same time. Energy always returns to its creator, and theirs came back starving. Chosen one, here's the real question you might be asking. Why does it seem like everything is hitting them from all sides? Because the universe doesn't return energy piece by piece. It returns it multiplied. They sent out chaos. So chaos comes back amplified. They built their life with shortcuts, lies, and manipulation. So the entire structure caves in from the center. They traded short-term wins for long-term destruction. They had chances, so many chances to shift, to correct, to grow. But arrogance convinced them they were untouchable. Now even the tools they once used to rise are dragging them down. Their charm doesn't work. Their manipulation backfires. Their excuses collapse mid-sentence. Nothing haunts a person harder than the truth they tried to bury. Now everything they built is being stripped away piece by piece. Not because of bad luck, not because someone attacked them, but because the sickness consuming them was born inside their own intentions. No one else is to blame. The curse they engineered is finally collecting. Number 5. They celebrated too early. Now life is laughing back. Mocking someone in their storm is easy, until the same clouds follow you home. Your enemies made one fatal mistake. They laughed before the story was over. They acted like your pain was a comedy special made for their entertainment. They smirked at your setbacks. They clapped for your heartbreak. They treated your struggle like a punchline. But the universe doesn't laugh with people like that. It laughs at them later and harder. They celebrated too soon. They danced in the first chapter, forgetting there were 10 more waiting for them. They mistook a temporary advantage for a permanent crown. They believed their cheap victories meant they were winning. But early laughter is a curse, because it blinds people to the twist coming next. Imagine someone standing on a stage bragging, only to
This
realize
is how you
the
know
mic
that people
wasn't
was
even
not
on.
spiritual
That's them.
or
Their
holy at
tricks
all.
don't land anymore.
They was
Their
exactly what I
manipulation
said they
fails
was,
like a
evil
glitching
from
app.
the very beginning.
Their charm feels fake, even to themselves. They open their mouth, and their words
Nobody
fall
does
flat,
this
because
that's
nobody
human,
buys the act now.
that have a
Their
godly
influence
consciousness, a
crumbles
godly
the same
heart.
way
No
a
one would ever do
sandcastle
this to a
crumbles
person.
when the tide
This is how I
finally
know what I'm
hits.
dealing with.
Life always gets the last laugh, especially when someone laughs at the wrong person. Chosen one, you might be wondering, why does their downfall feel so poetic? Because they mocked what they didn't understand. They laughed at your isolation. Now they sit alone, with nobody checking on them. They laughed when you had nothing. Now they're learning how it feels to lose what they thought was guaranteed. They laughed at your sleepless nights. Now they're wide awake at 3 a.m., replaying every choice that led them here. People pull away from them like their energy is radioactive. Opportunities vanish. Doors slam shut before they even reach them. Misfortune stacks up faster than their excuses. The same universe they thought was on their side has turned the spotlight around and exposed every flaw they tried to hide. Meanwhile, look at you. You survived. You healed. You grew. You learned to walk through darkness without losing yourself. They wished storms on you, forgetting they were the ones built out of paper. You weren't destroyed by the shadows. They were. That is their undoing. Number 6. Their throne was rented. Now the landlord wants it back. Power borrowed without wisdom always returns with interest, and the interest is pain. They strutted around like royalty, acting as if their position was permanent, as if the universe carved their name into the throne. They confused access with ability and attention with authority. But what they carried wasn't real power. It was a loan, temporary, conditional, revocable. And now the debt they pretended didn't exist has arrived like a hammer. They thought their influence was natural. They thought people listened because they were special. But influence built on fear, lies, and manipulation doesn't last. It fades the moment the mask slips, and their mask is cracking so fast, even they can't keep up with the pieces. Power doesn't corrupt weak people. Weak people corrupt power. Chosen one, you might ask, why does everything they touch fall apart now? Because borrowed power only works when it's used with integrity. The moment they used it to harm, to mock, to dominate, the universe stamped an expiration date on every advantage they had. They thought they were turning everything into gold, but it was just glitter, and glitter doesn't stick when the truth starts blowing through their life. Imagine someone using a VIP pass they found on the ground. They walk past the line, acting superior, flashing a smile, pretending they belong. Then security finally checks the barcode, and suddenly that confidence evaporates. That's your enemies. They were enjoying privileges they didn't earn. And the moment accountability scanned their actions, everything got revoked. Their connections failed them. People who once answered their calls now silence the phone. The opportunities they bragged about dry up like a puddle in the sun. They keep insisting it's just temporary, but even they can feel the shift. They feel the cold air of reality creeping in. They feel the support beams collapsing under the weight of their own ego. Borrowed power vanishes the second it's misused. Now wealth slips away. Status fades. Relationships crumble. Every shortcut they took becomes a roadblock. Every favor they collected turns to dust. They kept acting like they were on top, but the truth is simple. They were on borrowed time, and the clock finally ran out. Number 7. Their circle was plastic. Now it's melting around them. Anyone who builds loyalty out of fear eventually gets eaten by the same wolves they fed. They thought their circle was solid. They thought the people around them were loyal. They thought their influence meant something. But circles built on manipulation aren't circles. They're traps. And now that their downfall has started, every fake connection they relied on is peeling off like cheap stickers in the rain. They ruled through fear, not respect. Through pressure, not trust. Through convenience, not connection. So the moment their power dipped, the people who once stood beside them began backing away like they smelled smoke. And they did, because their entire life is on fire now. And nobody wants to get burned standing next to them. Fear creates followers, not loyalty. And followers run the second the wind changes. Chosen one, you might wonder, why does betrayal hit them so hard and so fast? Because deep down they always knew their circle was built like a house made of straws. They knew their relationships had no foundation. They knew those people didn't admire them. They tolerated them. And tolerance dies the moment power fades. Imagine this: someone sitting on a throne made of ice, bragging about how it will never melt. Then the sun rises. That's your enemies right now. Their so-called allies only stayed because the throne looked shiny. But the second cracks appeared, everybody started running in different directions. It starts small: a delayed response, a missing call, a suspicious silence. Friends who once hyped them up suddenly go quiet. People who once needed them now keep their distance. At first, your enemies brush it off. They're just busy. They'll come back. But they won't, because the ice is melting fast. And then comes the real slap. The betrayals get loud. Secrets they trusted people with suddenly leak. People they confided in suddenly flip sides. The ones they thought would defend them start exposing them. Their allies become their rivals. Their loyal followers turn into opportunists who sprint toward safer ground. When your power dies, people show their true faces, and their faces were never on your side. Now they stand alone, surrounded by the ruins of a kingdom built on fear. Their circle wasn't real, their connections weren't genuine, and the wolves they fed are finally hungry. And this time, they're the meal. Number 8. Their screams hit empty walls because they taught the world to ignore them. When you silence others long enough, life returns the favor by muting your own voice. They spent years pretending consequences were fiction. They walked past warnings like they were road signs meant for someone else. They dismissed every chance to grow, every moment life tried to nudge them onto a better path. Now the universe is giving them the one experience they never saw coming, the feeling of screaming into a void that refuses to answer. And here's the part that hits them harder than any karma ever could. Nobody's listening. The same doors that once swung open for them now feel welded shut. Their calls, once returned in seconds, now sit ignored like unread junk mail. Conversations dry up. The people who used to orbit them suddenly drift away as if their energy is radioactive. Everyone senses the downfall, even without knowing the details. People don't want to get caught in the blast radius of someone whose karma is crashing. Life doesn't leave you unheard. It leaves you unheard when you've earned the silence. Chosen one, maybe you're wondering, do they finally understand what they put you through? In their own twisted way, yes, they're feeling the same loneliness they once applauded, the same isolation they mocked, the same emptiness they laughed at you for experiencing. They used to walk past people crying for help. Now they're the ones standing in the dark, begging for support no one is willing to give. Imagine this, a person who spent their life throwing stones into a well. No thought, no care, just noise. But one day they lean over the edge and call out, expecting an echo, expecting something to answer back. And all they get is silence. Not because the well is empty, but because they emptied it themselves. They feel the panic rising at night. They feel the regret clawing at their chest. They feel the weight of choices they once brushed off. They want someone, anyone, to save them, defend them, comfort them. But the world isn't listening, not out of cruelty, but out of balance. They created this silence with their own actions, and now the truth finally lands. Understanding always arrives, just never in time to save the people who ignored every warning. Number 9. There's no antidote for a collapse you caused yourself. Some pain isn't an illness. It's the invoice for every wrong turn you swore would never catch you. They spent their whole life believing everything had a back door. Every rule had a workaround. Every mistake had a fixer. Money patched their problems. Power hid their mess. Connections cleaned their tracks. They walked around thinking life was a system they could cheat forever. But now they've hit the one wall no privilege can break through, the inevitable. Their body glitches, their mind spirals, their peace evaporates, and suddenly they're sitting in front of professionals who can't even name what's happening to them. Doctors shrug, tests come back clean, specialists frown in confusion. Their whole identity crumbles when they realize nothing is wrong in the medical sense, because this isn't illness, it's consequence. Not every wound bleeds on the outside. Some bleed through reality itself. Chosen one, you might ask, why can't anything help them? Because they're dealing with a sentence, not a sickness. The universe is showing them the one loophole they forgot to consider. You cannot escape yourself. Every action they took, every lie they told, every intention they twisted, is now living under their skin like a storm they can't outrun. Imagine someone trying to fix a cracked mirror by polishing it. No matter how hard they scrub, the cracks stay because the problem wasn't dirt. It was the impact. That's them. They keep reaching for surface solutions to fix internal damage. Pills for guilt, therapy for shame, distractions for truth. But nothing sticks because the root isn't physical. It's who they became. There is a cure, but pride is poison, and they'd rather drink it than change. The real cure requires something they've never practiced: humility, accountability, ownership, truth. The kind of truth that forces someone to admit they were the villain, not the victim. And that's the one medicine they refuse. Their pride locks their healing behind a door they won't touch. So they sit there, suffering, not because the wound is impossible to heal, but because healing requires them to be honest, and honesty is the one language they never learned. No doctor can save them, no status can shield them, no money can rewrite the sentence. They're not dying from sickness, they're drowning in the inevitable. Number 10, they'll drown in the same poison they poured. Life doesn't choose the punishment, it simply mirrors the crime. Everything they did to hurt others is now circling back with perfect aim. and there's no shield left for them to hide behind. They spent years sharpening weapons made of lies, manipulation, and deceit. Now those same weapons are turning on them with the same force they once used to damage you. Their suffering isn't random, it's a reflection, a perfect, painful reflection. The liar loses their voice, not literally, but spiritually. Their words no longer land. Their excuses don't work. Their stories contradict themselves. Every time they open their mouth, truth fights back, twisting their tongue until they choke on the lies they once threw so casually. Every sin eventually grows teeth, and it bites the one who fed it. Chosen one, you might be wondering, why does it feel so exact? Why does their downfall seem tailor-made? Because it is. The universe doesn't punish, it balances. Their manipulations now sit on their chest like a weight they can't shake off. Their deceit eats at them like acid from the inside. The guilt they tried to bury now rises every time they close their eyes. They feel sick, but the sickness isn't physical, it's emotional corrosion. Imagine this: someone planting a garden of poison, but expecting roses. Every seed they planted grows into something thorned, toxic, and unmanageable. Now they're trapped in the garden they designed. No exit, no shortcuts, no mercy. Their power evaporates because it was never real. It was performance fueled by ego and fear. Their influence fades because people finally see through them. Their connections crumble because nobody trusts someone whose energy feels cursed. Their reputation collapses under the weight of their own actions. No doctor can treat a sickness made from guilt, ego, and denial. They'll try to seek help, but medicine can't cure a conscience rotting in real time. Therapy can't fix the identity they built on lies. Nothing external can save someone whose suffering is self-grown. They aren't victims of karma. They're victims of their own choices, of every moment they thought cruelty made them powerful. The universe isn't destroying them. They're simply being swallowed by the sins they thought they'd never pay for. Number 11. This truth was never meant to save them. It was meant to wake you up. When the universe speaks, the wrong people hear noise. The right ones feel fire. They never listened because they never cared. Every warning bounced off them like rubber, not because the message was unclear, but because it was never meant for their ears in the first place. They weren't built to understand truth. They weren't meant to rise. They weren't meant to evolve. They were never meant to fool you forever, only to eventually reveal who they truly are, so you could see everything clearly. This message, these signs, your intuition, and that uneasy feeling you couldn't ignore were always directed at you. You were the one who stayed aware while everyone else remained unaware. You were the one who noticed the shift before it even unfolded. You were the one who sensed the shadow hidden behind their smile. While they mocked the warnings, you paid attention. While they ignored the signals, you observed. And while they grew deeper in arrogance, you became sharper, stronger, and more aware. Not every person is a lesson. Some are proof. Proof of what unfolds when someone chooses the wrong direction in life. Chosen one, you may have asked yourself why it felt like the universe was speaking directly to you. Because it was. You were the one capable of understanding the message. You were the one meant to break the cycle. You were the one destined to rise while they fell into the trap they built for themselves. They were never meant to be saved. They were meant to reveal themselves. Their downfall is not a coincidence, but a reflection, a pattern of what happens when ego replaces wisdom, when cruelty replaces empathy, and when pride overtakes truth. Picture this: two people walking through the same storm. One recognizes the danger, the other sees nothing. One finds shelter, the other walks straight into lightning. The storm was never unfair. It was a test, and only one passed it. That was you. You were never the fool. They were. You were never blind. You were prepared. Their ignorance made them fall. Your awareness made you rise. If this message resonates like truth always does, like the video, subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments. Share this with another chosen one who needs to awaken. The truth was never meant for everyone. It was meant for you. Enemies don't truly despise your voice. What unsettles them is the silence that comes after your strength has already spoken. That silence is what exposes everything they tried to hide. Because the moment a chosen one steps forward, every unstable ego around them starts to react. Not out of logic, but out of recognition. Deep down, they feel it, even if they pretend they don't. The universe has a way of reminding people who they are standing in front of. And when you enter that space, it becomes obvious you're not just different, you're beyond reach. Your presence alone dismantles the illusion of their confidence. They may act composed,
collective,
but their reactions betray them.
Yeah,
Imagine
this is a
shadow
whole nother
trying
video.
to dominate the sun. It spreads, it stretches,
I'm gonna stop it.
It covers the...
It's about getting ready and you about to silence every fucking enemy forever. Okay? Some type of power is being unleashed and everybody about to get it all at the same time. All right. This is the Father God, you know what I'm saying, coming in, showing up, showing out. Okay, if you people can't find out, if people just don't want to have decent common sense, then they're gonna find out the hard way, because that's all you can do with hard heads, okay? Why enemies fear your power and your presence, okay? They feel your power and presence because everything you have said just far has manifest. I can't see how people can't see the reality of things and then the delusion of what they want to see happen. Like, I can't understand why people can't see the difference in the two. Like, why can't you not understand what can be done and what can't be done, and why did you try to push forward anyway and then find out the hard way and then you're shocked about it, like it was just not supposed to happen when everything was lining up telling you that that's exactly what was going to happen. Like, I'm not understanding that. Okay, all right, so that's what you got going on. Like, share, thumb up the video. Appreciate everyone that do. I am your sacred, magical, high chief priestess of the Most High God. You got 2 for 1 about why people fucked around and found out about messing with the wrong one is not the shit. All the karma and all the drama that people was getting, whoever the fuck wanted to be an enemy in your energy, whether it was a family member, whether it was a ex-friend, ex-lover, foe, or just, somebody trying to compete in the same field that you in. All I know is whoever decided they wanted to be an enemy picked the wrong day and the wrong person. And they fucking finding out, and everybody that's attached to this shit is too. All right? All right. So this is what's going on. Like, share, thumb up the video, and I'm going to wrap it up here. One love.